webinar. My name is Mahajan. I am the principal attorney and owner of Legal Help NRI. It is a law firm based out of India, which works primarily for people who've got issues back home in India. We have offices based out in New Zealand, Nairobi, Australia, UK. I have my co-panelist with me, Mr. Mihir Shah, who is also with us and is looking after our office in UK. Mihir, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
And so we are going to be working, the whole idea of this webinar is to impart some knowledge and disseminate information regarding resolving your issues back home in India. I have already introduced myself, but give you a little background as to and what makes me come up with a platform to give this kind of information to people here. The Legal Help NRI, again, like I said, is a law firm which looks after issues of non-resident Indians. I've been working for the last 15 years with non-resident Indians, with law firms and with barristers across the globe and assisting them in matters on a cross-border basis. Now, with that gamut of experience that we have and a huge network of lawyers of more than 400 lawyers across India and offices, we've got offices in Delhi, Ahmedabad, Bombay, and Chennai, which helps us provide services in all jurisdictions and all main jurisdictions of India. Now, with that kind of an experience, because every area has their own way of working and progressing with the issues, especially related to property matters. And henceforth, that entire experience that I've gathered, a part of it, I'm going to be sharing it on this webinar. We have some key issues here, which are primarily, which the key points of discussions today I noted down were joint properties, PAN cards, will and probate, succession certificate, illegal sale and possession, and tenant issues. In this half an hour, I'm not too sure that how much we are going to be covering up, but to begin with, I will start with the first three topics. And then in case we need more time, so the webinar, we will be holding it on the next weekend and we can continue with these topics. And of course, we're going to have more webinars on various other topics, which can be attended by all of you, and you will have emails regarding the same. Now, starting with people who are non-resident Indians. People who are non-resident Indians, how do you define them? A non-resident Indian is a person who lives abroad, right? That is what most of us think, or probably we think that people who've been living abroad or who've been born in another country, so forth and so on. Well, that is not the definition only, because that is also considered under the definition of a person of Indian origin. A non-resident Indian, as per the Indian laws and various acts, which is the Income Tax Act, which is the FEMA, is a person who has lived outside India for more than 180 days. Now, once a person has lived for more than 180 days, what are his rights and responsibilities in a country of his origin? That is the main concern. Now, that's where the PAN card comes into picture, because everybody generally sends in queries. And of course, Mihir deals a lot with PAN cards and OCI and everything. So he keeps getting a lot of issues like, first question, do I need a PAN card? If I need a PAN card, how do I apply for a PAN card? And if I apply for a PAN card, am I going to be liable to pay tax in India? Are there going to be any criminal liabilities in case I do not pay my taxes, so forth and so on. So we start with the issue of PAN card. PAN card is the full form of a PAN card. I'm sure all of you know is permanent account number. This is solely and only for one purpose, which is for the purposes of income tax. This is no identification proof of a person. This is only for the purposes of income tax. This is for an entity, a person who is drawing any income in India and is liable to pay tax in India has to have a PAN card. Now, lately there have been issues as to, do I need a PAN card? Right? Yes. If you have a bank account in India, you are generating income in India, you are getting any kind of rental income in India, even if it was inherited property. Like I might say that if it was somebody's father's property, he inherited the property and he's still drawing that rent from that property, the money is getting deposited in an account, he must have a PAN card. Now, why should you have a PAN card is because if at all you wish to repatriate that funds to your country of residence, you cannot repatriate the funds to your country of residence through proper banking channels unless you fulfill your taxation liabilities in India. Now, for that taxation liabilities to be fulfilled in India, you have to have a PAN card. Okay, now if somebody says I do not draw income in India, मेरे को कोई rent नहीं आता, मेरा कोई लेना देना नहीं है, बस मेरी तो एक property है India में, I have nothing else to do. But eventually, do you intend selling that property or do you have any intentions of buying a property in India? If that be so, yes, you will require a PAN card. Because without a PAN card, you will not be able to sell a property or buy a property in India. Source of funds have to be shown, or if you're selling the property, wo paisa jab deposit hoga, that there'll be a tax deducted at source. All that is linked to your PAN card. That is a permanent account number for purposes and solely and wholly for purposes of income tax, for which a person must apply for one. It is not that you can do it when you intend selling the property. Why do you not do it now when the regulations and laws are still lenient? There is a proper way of applying, and there is a simpler, it's a very simple process of applying for a PAN card. Am I right, Mihir? For NRIs, it's a very simple process, right?
Yes, it is very simple process, and we can talk about it on a later. They can contact me anytime to apply for a PAN card. It's just take them 4 to 6 weeks to get a PAN card. All activity can be done sitting in UK. They don't have to travel to India for any of those things.
Now, next point of discussion is a will and a probate. What the law of succession in England is that a person, if he dies, the person who gets the property is next of kin, and mostly it's the spouse. And if it's not the spouse, then it's the children. Or they make a will which is with a lawyer and given to a lawyer. The point is that will applicable in India? No, it is not. Mostly it's not. It's a myth actually. Like a lot of people who come to us and they'll say, you know what, we have a property in India, our father has left a will and we want to get the property transferred in our names based on the will. When you look at the will is only and only for one or for all the estate which is based out of England. It does not mention your properties in India. And also, if there is a dispute on between the heirs, for example, if it is Mr. Patel who has two sons, X and Y, and Mr. Patel has only given the property to X, does not give it to Y. He wants to file for transfer of the property in Navsari or in Surat or any such place. He needs a no objection from his brother to transfer those properties. And in case he does not get a no objection, he has to file a case in the court. And for that purposes, the witnesses to the will have to be present in India to authenticate the will which was made by the father. तो जो will बनती है, will बनने के मतलब जो will बनानी है, you have to make sure that the will is made for the properties in India. You mention if you're making it in UK, and you have two witnesses on the will, out of which at least one will be able to travel to India if at all kabhi koi dispute hota hai, so that he can testify in the court. Because without his evidence in court or his the witness being present, the will have no will not be you will not be able to execute that will in India, even if it is probated. होता क्या है, everybody thinks that there was a will in UK, उसको हमने probate करा लिया UK court से, and वो automatically it is applicable in India. No, it is not. There is no automatic in there. So once you are, hopefully you are making notes of this, because these are very small things and very important points which one must note for their concerns and their issues, because let's not make it into a dispute. We can solve it while things are in our control. Henceforth, for any will or probates, please make it a point. One, if you can have a separate will for the properties in India, please have those. In case you have in case you wish to make a joint will, mention the properties in India separately in that will, and have two people who will testify that will, out of whom at least one can travel. Another very important point is that the person who is testifying the will, or who is the attesting witness, sorry, not testifying, the attesting witness to the will, should not be the beneficiary. ये नहीं होना चाहिए कि जिसके नाम पे will है वही witness बना हुआ है. It has to be two people who have nothing to do with the property, or who are not going to benefit out of the property. Then that will is valid. Otherwise that will goes. Mostly because UK में जो wills बनती हैं, they are done by lawyers and they are tested by a notary public. And neither of them, the lawyer or the notary public, who are English or basically residents of those countries and natives of those countries, do not wish to travel to India. And that's where it becomes an issue when you have to prove those wills in India, if at all it turns into a dispute. So this is for the wills and probates. Now, third point is a succession certificate. A lot of people come back and forth, asking, we have a property in India, we need a succession certificate. We have this in India, we need a succession certificate. Our father died, our mother died, our uncle died, and we need a succession certificate because we have to transfer the property in our names. Succession certificate is not for an immovable property. When I say an immovable property, it means land, house, shop, or any such thing. A succession certificate is only for one thing, and which is your bank accounts, movable assets, jewelry ho gaya, aapka bank accounts, shares, all these things which are movable, fixed deposits. Those are things which are covered by a succession certificate. Now, what is a succession certificate? Succession certificate is an order by the court whereby the court decides and passes an order who is going to inherit the movable assets of the deceased and in what proportion. So, मतलब उसका कि if Mr. Patel has died, उनके दो बेटे हैं और उन्होंने कोई will नहीं छोड़ी. Let's go with the thing that उन्होंने कोई will नहीं छोड़ी. How will his bank accounts be divided? And who is going to inherit those? How are they going to inherit? So they are going to inherit by very simple way, which is by court. No banks today let a nominee just step into the shoes of the account holder. पहले ये होता था, लोग nominee बना जाते थे, would go to the bank, say I am the nominee, and get the money transferred in my name. नहीं. Nominee is only a caretaker. मतलब जनरली लोग सोचते हैं nominee means कि उसके पास सब कुछ आ जाएगा, उसके पास नहीं आता है. So the person who gets it is, now how you get the movable assets of a person are simply based on one procedure, that is succession certificate, which is for your bank accounts, your jewelry, your not for lockers, for your share certificates, any such thing. So if somebody has a concern of that issue of this kind, he has to approach court to get an order. Yes, so and so has died. These are his children. Whether you go on the basis of a will or no will, and then get an order from the court. फिर वो जब order आ जाता है court का, then you yes, we've got order of the court. And now please divide the money in the bank accounts in the following proportion. That is how the bank accounts are looked after a person has died in India. And especially in cases of NRIs, wherever the amount is more than 30,000 or 40,000 Indian rupees, no bank touches you unless you get an order from the court. And the order from the court is through a process of succession certificate. Now, coming on to, we still have about 10 minutes, so I'll take up another issue, which is of joint properties. People who are back home, people have inherited, जो पुराने लोग बाहर बैठे हैं, they have inherited a lot of assets, but किसी ने solely inherit नहीं करा है. Everyone has inherited it together. So maybe brothers have inherited from their father, or with their sisters, or whatever. So the properties are primarily joint. So joint means, suppose there is land, land is joint. Naam sabka bolta hai. If there is a house, ancestral house, the house is joint. Shops hain to wo bhi joint names mein hai. When I say joint, is in joint names. And no person actually can sell the properties unless a property is partitioned or your share is separated from the other siblings, especially in cases of land. So what people generally come and ask, and the question is that, oh, you know what, I cannot, I have a joint property with somebody, with my brothers and my sisters, and I wish to sell it, but my brothers and sisters are not agreeing. Then what do we do? What do we do? What we do is we either get a partition done. Partition done can be done in two ways. First way is either through a mutual agreement where all parties agree. That means all the brothers and sisters agree ki yes, this is how the partition will take place. You get this part of the land, this whatever. That is by mutual agreement. But again, that agreement must be registered. It cannot be just an oral agreement or written on a piece of paper. That agreement must be registered. Even if somebody's had an agreement which was done a few years ago, please get those agreements registered today so that those can be executed in India. Otherwise, they are simply and merely pieces of paper which have no relevance, which have no admissibility in courts of law. But if your brothers and sisters do not agree to partition the land, what is it that you can do? You can file for partition. Even if you own an inch in a property, you still can file for partition of property. You do not have to wait for everybody to agree to it. It is a matter of right for a co-owner of a property to seek partition and separate his share from that of the others. But what you need for such a thing is documents to establish your ownership. आपके पास documents होना बहुत जरूरी है अपने property का. वरना अगर आप कोर्ट भी जाओगे, कोर्ट में आपको बताना पड़ेगा that I am the owner of the property and I need my property to be separated. So there is no bar that if you own, you know, some people say ki we are only 5% on 10% owners, and how can we seek, how can we separate our shares? The other parties will not agree. You do not have to worry whether you're 5% or 10% owner. You still can go to the court, file for partition, let the court decide. And let the court pass an order that you have a right to partition your property and seek a separate share in the property.